Yeah.
Yeah, the floor is yours.
Okay. Yeah. My church is in Melbourne. It's a Chinese church, and we have a Mandarin congregation and also English. Mandarin congregation basically member constitute the believer from mainland China or Malaysia, Singapore, older generation. And English speaking is mainly consists of young people, those our children born here and brought up here. So they speak English. So we got two congregation, and our church is about 45 years old, right? And myself, I've been with this church for the 30 over years already. And I've been the elders, one of the elders in our church for the past 15 years, right? And with regard to servanthood leadership course, I came into this course about 20 years ago when I was working with a mission. In Melbourne is a world mission organization called Partners International, right? And the headquarters is based in America, and they have an office in Melbourne. So I was with them for 4 years, and they have worldwide ministry in Africa, in Middle East, in Southeast Asia, in India, and also in China. So basically, I joined them, for the mission field with China, right? And one of the service that we provided is training, Bible training, and also this leadership training. And I find that leadership is very critical, within any organization. Church is an organization, right? If you have good leadership, then the church will grow, right? And like business, also same thing. If you have good management leadership, your business will go well. And even in the family, parents are leaders, and if you have good leadership in your own family, then your family will go well, right? Your relationship within spouse and parents and children, all this, and likewise in the church, if you have good leadership, righteous leadership that that follow Jesus Christ, then you have a happy church. If you have a the very the power hungry leaders in any organization, then you find a lot of the relationship problems, all sorts of problems. So leadership is very critical. And I past 20 years, I traveled to China and teach the local Chinese church leaders, whether they're incumbent leaders or they are seminary students. This is one of the course that I teach, and I still, after 20 over years, I learn more, and I still feel that this leadership is very critical. Whether leadership in the world leadership, we look at the world today, what type of leadership we have internationally, and national, and the church leadership, all these are very critical. So the course that we are learning here, if we really put effort to learn it will really benefit us. We will know God better, and this course actually has a very strong biblical theological ground. That's very important. As a good leaders, you need to have a strong biblical theological the foundation first. Then you talk about, humility, that you fear God, and humble, all this. If we don't have a strong biblical foundation, our relationship, you wouldn't have a good relationship with God, right? And then you cannot, if you don't have a good relationship with God, you cannot fear God. And if you don't fear God, basically you are self-centered, you can be power driven, in your leadership position, you say. Then what you do is mainly for yourself, not for the people that you lead, for the good of the community, you say. So I feel that this servanthood leadership modeled by Jesus Christ is really critical for the whole world, not only for our church, Christian church, for our own self and family. Yeah, that's all I want to say. Okay, thank you, Niko.
Okay, yeah, Pastor Kim Yong. Okay, brothers and sisters, this is the 7th session, and we thank you for joining us. And now we give time to Pastor Kim Yong to continue the lesson concerning the central topics, that is servant leadership. Time is yours, Pastor Kim Yong.
Yeah, okay. All right, let me share the screen first. All right. Can you
yes, yes, you can
see
see it.
Yes.
Yes.
See, yeah?
Yes.
Let me see why this doesn't move. Just hold on for a while. You can see, how come
yeah.
Let me see.
Servant leadership and management. Yeah, we can see it.
Yes,
Learning to be a godly. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
It works. Yes.
Last week we were on Unit 6, and we talked about the right person for the right job.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And we went, the halfway through. And today I will continue with the PowerPoint. And when we finish that, then we proceed to Unit 7, motivating individual and excellence and fulfillment. The motivating skill is very important for leadership. Leaders, one of the main function is to motivate people that which are following you, to perform their excellence, and at the same time they feel that they are, their fulfillment, for themselves. So one of the leadership skill is to motivate, how to motivate people for the purpose, for the organization goal, to achieve that the purpose. And for Christian, the purpose should come from God, for an organization or for own life. Right. So I will continue with this Unit 6 that we left where we left last week, and I will talk about 20 minutes. And anybody got question can I will pause for discussion, and usually we can benefit from all the participation from everybody, share their experience or any questions. I will try my best to answer you. All right, so we will do that tonight, same as last week. I will talk about 20 minutes, then Niko, you can stop me. Okay?
Okay, all right.
All right, so last week we talked about job, the right person for the right job, right? If you put the wrong person for the wrong job, as leaders, you find a lot of problems. You see, so hiring people, employing people, you really need to be careful. See? So you need to consider the person's temperament and the job requirement, whether that person, besides the technical skill or professional skill, you need to consider whether that person's character, temperament is suitable for that type of job or not, right? And if you put the right person into the right job, then the person can enjoy the job, and then he or she will do well. Not only the person can perform well and contribute to the goal of the organization, and the person also enjoy the job. You get fulfillment out of it, right? So as a leader, you have the power to hire people, and so that you need to be careful about hiring people. Not simply taking people that later, if not suitable, then is can cause a lot of headache, right? All right. When we talk about right job, first of all, we must know what the job, the content is. So how do you know what the content of the job is? You need a description, right? So here we talk about what is a job description. And basically a job description is a written outline of what is expected of an individual in particular job. It is a description of the job, not the person feeling it. It centers on what is to be accomplished rather than who is to accomplish it, right? So job description is a document, written outline of what is expected of a worker, of an individual in a particular area of responsibility. Okay. And what is the use? You may ask, what is it good for? It not only helps the organization and the individuals measure his performance against goals, but it has a number of other uses depending on the type and size of organization. Depend on what type of organization that you are leading. It can provide other benefits as well, right? And second use is a job description is perhaps most valuable when there is a need to fill a new or a vacant position. It clarifies what kind of a person to seek. It gives the potential staff member a picture of what is expected of him or her. And remember, the person hiring has the greater responsibility, right? When you hire people, you need to really be careful. If not, you get headache later. And thirdly, a job description helps relate one job to another. It not only should place any necessity boundary around a job, but also help the incumbent to see his job as part of larger whole. So in organization, you exist for a purpose, right? And how do you achieve that purpose or mission or goal? You need to perform certain tasks, certain work, right? And you need people to do the work. And the works within that organization all contribute to achieve that organizational goal, say. And jobs description is just to describe, you know, a particular job and what are the boundaries, things like that. You see, so it all fits together, you know, interact with one another to achieve the common goal, right? So that's one of the purpose for a job description. And what should it contain, right? The content should be the list here, right? First, you need a date, right? To date when it is written, when it's created, and here it says it can go very quickly, obsolete quickly. See? So bear that in mind, and you need a title trying to be descriptive without being too wordy. You need a title, and then you got to specify what is the purpose of the job, describe the purpose of that job, type of supervision, who supervise this position, either a statement as to what position, not person, this job reports to, and what is the responsibility of this job, without going into a great deal of detail, and be as specific as possible, and what type of education or experience required to perform this job, and working condition, you know, as an organization, what type of working condition you offer, and special requirement. If you have special requirement for this position, it's good that you put it down. So these are the content that you put in the job description, right? And okay, and here it says writing job description take time and effort, say, and it get out of date very quickly, and make it a yearly practice to have each employee and supervisor review and rewrite each year. And don't get the job description get into the way of doing the job. It is a beginning point. Be ready to change it, right? And the details of the job description program may be delegated to a consultant or other outside organization to do it. But the board of the local church or the management of a large service agency, you know, they take responsibility. When the product is finished, you know, the management, the board should review the finished product, and the discussion to whether this description of the job, you know, the description do adequately fit into the goals and purposes of the organization. So this is the responsibility of the top management to make sure that jobs are there, you know, to achieve the purpose of the organization. And the right, remember last week we read the story, the right person for the right job, and the managing director David, you know, his organization has a vacancy, administrative director. Then he has two candidates, both are very good candidates, and later he chose a person called James, right? Out of you know, the friendship or emotional you know, attachment to him, he didn't actually choose the person based on the suitability of the person for the job, right? And later it creates problems. Later we will see the problem happen in the story, right? And here it says that David make a mistake of choosing the wrong person for the wrong job, right? And we see that afterward. Okay. So this just telling us that as a leaders, when you choose people to work for you, you need to be put effort into it to choose the right person. Here is what David handed to both James and Ayub when they apply for the job. So the job is administrative director, and the job description that David gave to the two applicants is what you see here. The administrative director is responsible to give direction to the administrative areas of Good News Ministry, such as accounting and finance, facility and equipment, production and personnel. So the question here, is this an adequate job description? Right. What else should be included to improve the job description? Right. Remember just now I show you what are the content of a good job description. But if you look at this, it's a very general, very broad and not quite specific, right? So this is not the adequate job description, right? I will show you what are the things should be in it in the next few pages. For instance, this is the more appropriate job description for administrative director. My job title, purpose, to give the direction to the administrative areas of Good News Ministry so that the stated purpose of the ministry is achieved. And the scope, limited to all administrative function of the organization, the office, right? So, and the area of responsibility, accounting and finance, and here is authority level, number 1, right? Meaning he has the authority to act by him. He has the authority to act by himself, make decision without getting any approval from the top. So this is called AL number 1, right? Level 1. And other area of responsibility like production, he has authority level number 1, act as well, and facility and equipment, and then the D is personal department as well. So here, the authority level AL, number 1 mean act, number 2 mean act and report to your supervisor, and level 3 mean approval, then only you can act, right? So basically 3 levels of authority, for this position. See?
Okay, all right, Pastor Kim Yong, may I interrupt you for a moment?
Yeah, okay, yeah, we can stop
this
here.
Is the time for us also to give time for the participants to ask questions.
Yeah, okay.
Brothers and sisters, the topic is for tonight is concerning the motivation to all your employees so they can get the excellency. I mean the excellent point that your subordinates can reach, and also the fulfillment. And before other participants ask question, I will open with one question. So Pastor Kim, who will be the one who responsible to determine the job description?
Well, usually the supervisor, if you hire somebody to do a job and reporting to you, right? So the supervisor need to write that job description, because you are employing someone to work for you, right? So the supervisor is responsible to write that job description. Of course, you need to get the like budget, permission from the the top management, say like managing director or something like that. right? So the person who supervises that position need to write that job description.
So you mean that the president director, for instance, so will describe and determine the job description, among the directors, the head of departments, for instance, and then the head of the departments will also, make and determine the job description also for their subordinates, and then the section head, for instance, also will determine the job description, the people under him, or what?
Yeah,
Or
for instance,
yeah.
if you start with managing director, right? And the managing director, you got the departmental director working for you. So the managing director should be responsible for writing all the job description for the departmental director that work for you, you see. And under the departmental director, they have other people work for them. So they have to write the job description for the people who report to them, see. So you see the leveling there. So what I'm trying to say, the supervisor of that position need to write the job description.
Okay, one more question. Now, how come we apply into a church or into a Christian organization?
Okay, so let's say a church, right? Let's say if you want to employ a pastor, okay? Let's say, for example, our church, we have a board of directors. Say we got the 2 elders, 1 chairperson, right? We got secretary, we got a treasurer, and then we got 2 congregational, because we got 2 congregation, 1 English, 1 Mandarin. So we have a congregational chairperson from each congregation, right? And the pastor is a 2 pastor, right? Let's say we want to hire a pastor for the Chinese congregation, right? So the board will appoint this pastor and hiring committee, task force, you see, to work on what are the requirements for the Chinese congregation, right? And then we need to get let the board knows about it, but we will do the job, you see, right? Then we use that job description, to advertise for position or someone who introduce a candidate. So we can use that job description to communicate, to the potential pastors, so to tell them what are the area of responsibility, and then the salary, things like that, you see. So if he agree, he know what he's going to do when he gets in here, and then we also know what to expect from that pastor, you see. Right? Yeah. So there's application. So depend on what the organization you have, you see. You need people to work there, right? So you need to write the job description.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Pastor Kim. And then we give time now to participants. Anybody wants to ask questions? Just raise your hand. Yes, Pak Surbakti will ask question. Come, Pak Surbakti.
The most important we learned today, how can we apply in a Christian community if the group is not so big? So should we have the requirement that you explained to us, managing director, and also like supervisor, and until to the bottom line, and because as far as we know, when we are in Indonesia, we don't have any complicated about I can say the person put in the right job, because we don't have any tools to put that position. So someone only, oh, you can be in that position, you can do it. Yeah. So the person can do it. But some people cannot do well. So who can we blame if it happened like that? Thank you.
Okay, first of all, just now I talk about, as a supervisor or as a, the managing director or a single person, or you need to, if you want to employ someone, right, to do a job, you have to tell that person what his responsibility is, right? Whether you write it down or verbally, you see. The main thing is you need to communicate, you see, clearly, right? The area of responsibility, you see, right? And make sure that person understand it. Let's say in a small organization, you still need to, if you want someone to come in and work, you got to tell them what to do, right? And the principle is you must communicate the requirement clearly, say, right? Make sure that you understand what you want that person to do, and then that person understand what you require of him or her, say, right? Then you can only achieve the common objective, right? Then of course, if you have a big organization, then this become very critical already, right? Right? In the business world, when they employ people, they have job description very detailed, right? So if you're small, but the principles still apply, you see, maybe just 2 person, but you still need to communicate your requirement clearly, right? And even at home, sometimes like family is also an organization, right? Every family member contribute, to do something, for your family to function. Correct or not? Like who is, taking out the bin, every Sunday. you need to allocate the task clearly, you see. If not, then you get problem. You agree or not? It happens at home, right? So you see the principle there, right? So of course, when you run the big organization, the big church, you employ 2 or 3 pastors, and then the administrative work, and even though some volunteer, you have to tell them clearly, you see. And sometimes even volunteer, you have to write the job description. If you can do it, then it helps to communicate, to run the job, to run the church as a effective organization to do God's word. Okay. Yep.
Okay. All right. We give time to other participants who would like to ask questions concerning the motivation. And
Raja Pon somewhere is here with us. I think he is from India. Raja Pon.
Yeah, Raja.
Yes, Raja Pon Sam Raj. Yes, Pastor.
Time is yours now. Raja, time is yours to ask question.
Okay. Actually, we have a church. Some believers, we give some responsibility to believers, but if they overrule pastors, means overrule the director, means how to handle that situation.
What you give some responsibility to some.
Yeah. We are giving you some responsibility, but they are overruling. But they are making rules and regulations and everything. You have to finish in this time. You have to do this much time. If they make some rules to our director, how to handle in this?
Okay, so that's why you see, the mean the responsibility is not clearly specified or agreed, you say, right? So meaning your organization need to, I'm sure you have a board of director or highest management
Yeah,
boss?
actually, yes. Actually, pastor is the highest director, but we are giving us some elder to do this, some responsibility to take out the believers and give a counseling. And then he is telling to pastor, you have to finish in this time. This is the time for you, because it's too much. You're taking time for in the service, and you're not doing this properly. Like just like you just overruling like that.
Yeah. Okay. So
And
you see, that's that's the thing that we are talking about here. Say, like servant leaders, you really need to be, the humble. You don't use power to control. Is it right?
yeah, we are
Your
not
role, the good leaders, is to motivate. To help people. Is it to do their job properly.
Yes,
right?
Yeah, we are motivating, and that motivation is making overruling.
Yeah, it's not controlling. Bible teaches very clearly, right?
Yeah.
Like if you look at Jesus Christ, when he was on earth, God himself on earth, he never controlled his disciple. If you read the gospel, right? He set the example, he taught them, and sometimes they are very slow learning. He took a great patience to explain again and again. You see, Jesus set a good example.
Okay.
Jesus said, he come not to be served, but to serve. You see, right?
Yes.
Even God himself said that. Who can be higher than God, right?
Yeah. We are not like that.
We should learn.
Humble
As a Christian, we really need to learn from our Lord, you see, and especially as a leader. You don't abuse your power. Your power is to empower other people to do their job properly, or to guide them, you see. Yeah. Okay, so that's the answer I give, you see.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Pastor.
Okay. Any other participant would like to ask question?
Can I just clarify?
Yeah.
David, can I just clarify? Maybe I just changed the position slightly to accounting, where I'm more familiar. So when you look at the size of an organization from a 2-man or 1-man, that means the boss and the secretary, the 2-man operation, you call it, to 500 operation. Then you know that, for example, in hotel, when you have a lot of employees, right? You got housekeeping, you have maintenance, right? You got to maintain the building. Housekeeping, of course, the guest comes in. Then you have your sales and marketing, Now, in the accounting aspect of it, normally, in whether it could be a Christian hotel or it could be a non-Christian, the question of organization now. I think all business needs a JD, which is job description. How elaborate will depend of the requirement. It means, for example, I tell you what, in accounting, when you say you're an accounts person, he handles from entry, from simple entry right to the submission of taxation, if it's a 1-man show. I know, a company has to submit tax, has to handle invoices and all. But in the hotel accounting that I personally had done, so we're not talking about, a Christian organization. We're talking about an efficient organization, whether it's a Christian hotel or non-Christian. The thing is this: because of the size, therefore you have what we call accounts receivable. I tell you why is that, because when you deal with hotel accounting, the general accounts, meaning like expenses accounts and other aspects, there's what we call a payroll account. Now you have 400 employees, so payroll becomes a very heavy load. So you don't put it into, yes, it's under accounts still. Then you have what we call the first hierarchy is the financial controller. But the financial controller, though he should do the job description, the personnel, that means the personnel department will actually be looking for the personnel and come out with the job description. But upon the what do you call it, the recommendation of the financial controller, the financial control assistant, and then you have the payroll, and then you have the general accounts. So these people will do the write-up, but the actual real write-up will be done by HR. I don't know what you call it today. It's no more human. HR is a very low, I don't know what is the word now, manpower director or something. So you must know the size of an operation. So because of the size and nature, but yes, a job description, whatever size organization, lays out the requirement, the responsibility of that person, whoever handling the job. So, I mean, if you have a 2-person operation, it means you have the boss and the assistant, then quite obviously, even making coffee, who makes, the boss can help lah. But obviously it's the assistant. Yeah, I don't have to say, please make coffee. So what they put, any other duties as required. Now, it's very ambiguous, like carrying, let's say the goods come in, you're carrying a good, because you're the only 2-person operator. But in the case of hotel, yes, you have your logistics, you have your housekeeping. Your housekeeping will handle all the goods that come in. Then the restaurant part will handle also the food and all that. So to me, I think, yes, we understand the importance, but who does the write-up will depend on the nature of the setup. That means how big and all. So that's why you have an HR department. They will do the recruitment, selection, recruitment, and so on and so forth. But of course, the forecast, manpower forecast will be actually given by the respective department. Housekeeping will know next year, you know, how much of gas will they extend, how many people will be resigning. Then they will tell the HR. HR will then know. Then they'll compute. That's why when you look at it, like manpower forecast, you know, every department has their own forecast. So what I'm saying at the end of the day is job description, yes, ideally, because I mean, HR will not really know what accounting requires, like what you need to do, what set of accounts or how much and all. So obviously it's the people, but they will tell, and then from experience now, HR will now compute and they know the business. So to me, I mean, yes, I agree with you that, yeah, of course, the servant leadership now, whether or not this person is going to be proud, you know, like you say, autocratic, benevolent, autocratic will become the character and the nature and culture of the organization. Meaning, yeah, as you say, Christians is easier to see, but still you need some form of control. That means answerability. You know, someone must be answered and someone has to be accountable, whether you like it or not. So there is some amount of control. Only where the question is, you want to act with a very firm kind of method of what I say goes, you know, that kind of attitude will always be that shows the culture plus the character of that person in question. That's my
yeah, that's good. Yeah, the good sharing, David.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Pastor David, and we give time also for Dr. Miriam. Dr. Miriam, will you ask questions or contribute your opinion? Okay. Pastor Daniel, yes.
Okay.
Can I have time to
oh yeah, Lamsar Silaban or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Silaban first and then Daniel. Okay. Lamsar, time is yours.
Okay, thank you for this change. I want to ask you, Mr. Kim Yong, how do you think about the turnover for the employee? Yeah, many company got find the problem is often to face the turnover is how do you think about turnover influence the running the system? How about the relationship about the administration in company? Yeah.
Okay, is it turnover? You know, meaning people come and go. You know, very often, you see, right? And why people cannot stick to a job long, then there are many reasons, you see, right? So afterward, we talk about motivating, you see. And inside there, we talk about what are the factors that motivate people or to make people stay longer, you see. So usually leadership is very critical. How leaders treat the employee very important, right? Whether you treat them with kindness, righteousness, we care or not, you see. I think we all like to work for a boss, for employer that care for us, isn't it? Be fair to us and then have a clear accountability. That's why just now we talk about job description, is to help us to be accountable, you see, and clear communication, right? And the boss need to be, to be able to use his authority in the right way, you see, to be fair, you see. It doesn't mean that you don't have control. You need to have leadership, you see, but not controlling. If you control, use your power to control people, nobody like it. I think all of us don't like to be controlled, right? We need to be motivated. We need to be, to be care. To be loved. You say, right? So as a Christian organization, we need to really put what Jesus Christ taught us. Love one another, right? The boss should love the subordinate, and then the subordinate should love the boss, right? So if we practice what Jesus taught us, right, then the turnover, it won't be the turnover will be less, right? People can work longer, and of course, if they have good reason to change job or what, that happens. But how the boss treat your employer is very critical, right? So to minimize your turnover, make sure that you pay them enough, right? To be fair with them, and take care of them, take care of their need, right? That's how people can work longer. Okay, yeah, that's my answer. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Pastor Kim, if I pay attention or give attention to the question of Mr. Lamsa, yeah, it is not only the negativity of the turnover, but also it has also a positive side about the turnover. Why? Because if we look at the management system between, say, Japanese management system and the Western style, it's quite a difference, because Japanese always make the employees is long life employees, right? Long life employees. While the American, for instance, they just want to get the high results of the employees, for instance. So if you already are working, even though so many years in a company, for instance, but when you come into a situation where your appearance or your achievement in the office is not, it's getting down, for instance. And then sometimes if a newcomer come and then will give even better, and then you will be fired, So it is also have the plus and minus between the high turnover employees in a company, and also the long life employees in Japanese style of management. So sometimes we have to think also which one we would like to apply.
Yeah, it's true. It depends on the objective of your organization. if your organization put a lot of emphasis on people, right? So you will take effort, to care for people, so people can work longer, generally, if your organization is bottom line driven, right? You want to make profit, then maybe the effort that you put on people is less, you just want the people to work there to make money for you. If they don't make money for you, then you get rid of them, so meaning you don't really care about people. You need people because they are there to earn money for you. But as a Christian, organization, right? Whether it's a church, it's a Christian business, we really need to have a mission. What God care about is people, right? So we don't. We need to make money. If you don't make money, your business cannot survive. But you need to be equally putting emphasis on people, developing people, and usually, if you develop people, people will appreciate it. Then they can perform better. Then you bring profit to your organization. You can see many, in the business world, if the boss take care of people, then their business is successful. And those who really just care about making money, don't care about people, usually they can't last very long. And the reality will shows that Jesus Christ's leadership is working, not the worldly one.
Yeah, because if I give attention also not only in the secular organization like in the companies, but also in church and Christian organization. Sometimes also the turnover also is sometimes happen in that organization. In a certain church even high.
So that means we are not actually practicing that leadership or management, according to the teaching of Bible, right? Meaning we don't really put effort in developing people, care for people, right? Maybe we just run the church like the outside the secular world, care very little about the people, and that is not God's intention for Christian organization to exist. That is not biblical, and then you face problems, like turnover. The people not happy, they don't feel valued, and then they are not motivated. And Christian organization, you also sometimes don't really pay that well, as compared with outside, right? So people we need money to live, but money is not the only thing that you live for, right? Human being need to be respected, need to be treated with fairness, right? Regardless of where you are, in the world, it's same thing, right? So you need to go back to Jesus' model. Then in long run, you will see things will work.
Okay, thank you, Pastor Kim. We give time one more participant, and then we will continue with the lesson. Anybody?
Please, Daniel Stebudi.
Daniel Stebudi, Pastor Daniel Stebudi probably would like to ask question.
Sorry,
yes.
I think just continue that because I don't have any comment on that.
All right.
Because it is still
all right. A person with the name under the name of Huawei. You have a question or would like to say something? Huawei or Tan Lai Kim?
Okay, Tan Lai Kim, please unmute your mic.
Tan Lai Kim. Oh, okay.
Tan Lai Kim.
Okay, Pastor Kim, you can continue now.
Okay. All right. So this one. Okay, now we go into motivating
individual.
Unit number 7, motivating individual excellence and fulfillment, right? So motivating people to perform well, you know, and to feel that he's happy with the job, you know, is a very important function of good leaders, right? So the objective of this unit is explore differing assumptions and theories of motivation in light of what the Bible teaches about this important subject, right? And develop a sensitivity to the needs of those with different behavioral style, different temperament. You need to care about what type of temperament the person has, you see, when you putting that person to a certain job. So develop our sensitivity to the needs of those with different behavioral style and the ways in which people within each category are helped to perform with excellence and fulfillment. So these are the two objectives of this unit. So now we are going to look at the story, you know, how David motivating people. David is a managing director of this Christian organization that we see how he handled this type of issue. Okay, so I'm going to get out of this one. I need to share that this Word document. All right, so I'm going to read this story to you. Motivating individual excellence and fulfillment. 6 months have now passed since James Stephanos was hired to replace Joanna as head of the accounting and finance department, right? So David employed this person called James Stephanos to replace the lady Joanna is head of the accounting and finance department. As you will remember, James immediately corrected the problems. So James is very capable. Once he comes in, he corrects the problem that Joanna was creating, delaying the report, you know, each month. So he came in and correct the problem. He's very capable, which led to Joanna's reassignment. So David reassigned Joanna to another job. Financial reports now are on time, but James has done much more. And James is very capable. You know, not only he makes sure that the accounting report, were done on time, he has done much more. In addition to reorganizing his whole department, he has undertaken this responsibility of teaching all department heads how to use and interpret financial information. 5, James, of course, is gifted as a designer, innovator. He is a designer or innovator type of character, right? So quite frankly, he found himself to be increasing bored and unfulfilled after he conquered the challenges for which he was hired. So here is telling us that some people, you know, if they find that if the job is not challenging, they get bored. See? So this type of character, right? So he found himself to be increasingly bored and unfulfilled after he conquered the challenges for which he was hired. 7, as a result, he began to spend an increasing amount of time expressing ideas and vision with Joanna in marketing and Barnabas in church relations. It should be pointed out that Joanna and Barnabas Barnabas initially welcomed James' input, but conflict seems to develop over time. James has an inquisitive mind that always seems to be in high gear. Ideas flow without ceasing, many of which seems to be worthy of pursuing. But his designer innovator behavioral style often came across as domineering and insensitive, whereas Joanna and Barnabas were more concerned about church and customer relationship. 14. Matter came to a head one morning when James entered Joanna's office with yet another idea. His suggestion was to launch a series of audio tapes designed for those in their late teens on the subject of finding the right person to marry. He presented this as a direct word from God and suggested the organization considered rearranging its publishing and production priorities so that his dream can become a reality. So very strong character, right? Say that his ideas is from God. Joanna tried to tell him in her gentle way that she and Barnabas were not in a position where yet another idea could be considered, but James seems to be unable to hear what she was saying and move on to yet another subject. After he left, Joanna sat down with Barnabas and almost broke down in tears. She poured out her frustration that James seems to be crossing everybody's departmental lines and did not seem to care very much what others thought of these intrusions. Both of them agreed that it was time for a talk with David. This took place at the end of the day. David understood what they were saying and was experiencing some of the same feelings about James' growing lack of insensitivity to the priorities and needs of others. All of them agree that something has to be done to help increase James' sense of fulfillment on his own job without causing him to lose faith. 29. David raised this issue with Reverend So at the family dinner later in the week. Reverend So suggested that the best plan would be to offer James some real perks. It was agreed that the accounting office needs new air conditioning, and this was installed. Furthermore, James was rewarded with a much coveted country club membership and also was provided with a driver for the first time. James responded well to these actions.
Pastor Kim, may I interrupt you? Well, because of some of us, some of the participants not followed from the beginning the story. So I think it is good also if you can tell the big big story, so people can understand what happened actually in the situation like what you have just read, and then we give time for them to ask questions because we could see the letters and we could understand, but the big story, the complete story, we miss. Some of us and even some participants not follow. So if you can describe a little bit briefly about the story and then how it is related to the topic for tonight, and then we give time also if there is a questions from participants.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I need to get back to the PowerPoint. I will use a diagram to explain it, say, right?
Okay.
Okay, right. So the story was, this person called David, right? And he was a pastor, pastoring a church. He was a good discipler. And later he was approached by his uncle, Reverend So, to run the Christian organization, a publishing organization, right? So from the pastor, he got a job as a managing director of this Christian publishing organization. Okay, so running a church and running an organization is quite different, because this organization have about 20 over people working there. Say, some are paid staff, some are volunteer, right? So he, as a managing director, is a leader, okay, of this organization. And when he entered this organization, he found problems. He do not know how to be a leader of organization. So he prayed about it, and Lord God actually slowly teach him how to be a good servant leadership, right? Then the first unit talk about, he found out what is the difference between secular leadership, always use power to control, right? And Christian leadership modeled by Jesus is through motivating, caring for people, right? Communicating, and and also look at the objective of the organization, and share that vision with the people. Say, and then second unit, we talk about leaders need to know people, know yourself. God created you as what type of person. Say, some people are created like to be very innovative, very quite controlling type of personality, temperament. And some people, God created them to be quite gentle type of person, team player. And some people created, to be quite influential, like to talk to people, people type of, like to mix with people, like, sales people like to talk, to mix with people. And some people who are very perfectionist, the very particular about getting things right, quality work, things like that. Say, so David learned about his own character. He is not a controlling type of a character. He is a team player type of a temperament, right? So David found out that his own weak point and strength and weak, the strength and weakness, and also he know other people's strength and weakness. See? So that's how God actually lead him, train him to be a good leader. And then power. Third units talk about power, meaning when you are managing director, you have power within your organization. So how do you use that power? So the Lord actually teach him, because he was a pastor before, so he was a good discipler. So instead of acting as same as the previous managing director, who was his uncle, right? And Reverend So, and the Reverend So was a controlling type of leadership, right? And everybody very scared of him. Everything he need to make decision, and no one is allowed to bring up any suggestion, things like that. But David came in. He was a good discipler. He allowed people to talk, and then he approached people by themselves, one to one, get to know their problem and try to help them to solve their problem, so that their productivity increases. And people work there, become happier, the relationship becoming better, they communicate with one another, right? So the David learned to be a good leaders. Then the fourth unit, you talk about changes. this organization exists for 30 years, but the world outside is changed, see, but the organization never changed. So Unit 4 talk about good leadership is always, have the insight, far-sighted and very sensitive to the change of the environment, so that you change your organization's direction, to be effective, to meet the demand or requirement of your time, of the current time. So that's called managing changes. And David came in, he is leading in the changing of his organization, right? To meet the to provide the actual service to the current situation, so that their organization is effective in doing God's word, right? Then fifthly is vision. Vision is talk about, if you don't know where you are going, you never get there. So meaning, each organization need to know the purpose that you exist, see, and that organization has been exist for 30 years, right? 30 years ago, they have a vision of God, what God wanted them to do, but after 30 years, things change, but they never change, you see. So they become very ineffective. So God actually lead David to see that they need to change their direction, right? Because the time has changed, you see. And then 6 talk about, the right person for the right job, we talk about James, they have a vacancy, the accounting director job was filled by a person, a lady called Joanna. But Joanna, she is a type of person, the people person, that like accounting job is not suitable for her character, see. So she was some sort of forced, to take the position, and she was very unhappy with the job, so she couldn't perform, you see, and therefore caused the report, the accounting report, delay every month, so it affect the whole operation. Then the people make noise, and later James has to reassign her to another marketing position, which suit her, see? And she really liked the job and performed well and contribute a lot to the increase of sales. And then this vacancy, David as a managing director need to get another people to fill that position, see? And we talk about getting the right person to fill the right job, and then in order to fill this position, he got 2 applicants. One is James. One applicant is called James. One is Ayub, and Ayub was a very experienced accountant, right? But James make a decision to employ this James, because James, was his friend, and he need a job quite badly. So they will make a wrong decision of employing wrong people, see, for the wrong job, and therefore he got problem, right? And Unit 7, we talk about, how do you motivate people to perform with excellency, and also they feel that they're happy with their job, they feel fulfillment, right? And just now we look at the objectives. It's talking about, different type of fix certain type of job, right? So you don't simply put people into any job that is available. You see. So as a hiring person, as a leader, when you hire people, you need to care about not only their capability in meeting the job, the requirement. You need to actually find out what type of personality the person has or temperament. Then you talk about whether want to hire the person or whether the person is suitable, whether the person is the right person for the right job or not, right? So that's where we are now, you know.
Okay, Pastor Kim. Yeah, thank you very much for giving us the review of the big story that you present to us. Brothers and sisters, from the big story, Pastor Kim tried to explain the situation where we can learn what we call it's like a case study, if I'm not mistaken, like a case study that we can learn how the organization is running before and after the situation, so we can learn from it. So you can ask questions concerning the points that have been explained by Pastor Kim. To all participants, we open the question and answers.
Edwin, Niko,
Yes.
I have an idea for all of us. I would like to put you all in the groups. Yeah, we can divide into 3 groups. So in that groups, we can call the name breakout rooms. So all of us can interact one another. How do you think?
Yeah, it's up to you.
Okay. So I think it's good also. Yeah, if we do that, so we know each other. Okay. Now I put all of us into a group.
But the time is now is almost 6:30 Jakarta time.
Okay.
Almost up. Yeah. Maybe we can do it next time. Yeah.
So